So we can use it on our social media channels, YouTube, all that good stuff for other curly girls to be able to get some tips and tricks. So all of you guys know who I am, but for those of you who are watching on a replay, my name is Bryn Travis. I'm the owner of Luxe Color Lounge in Conshohocken, and today we are doing a curls night and talking about curls during quarantine. So just being able to hang out with one another, be able to trade some tips and tricks, and talk about what works for us. So I'm gonna share my screen with you guys to keep me on track. Okay, and can all of you guys see this okay? Okay, great. All right, so calling all curls. All right, so I wanted to start with wash day in general, and I did my wash day today, so I could talk exactly about like what I could remember and have everything top of mind for myself, and then be able to have you guys see what my day one hair kind of looks like using all of the tips and tricks that I use for my hair. So firstly, I think it's super important to know that using the right product for you is what's really going to be the most important. So you can see me, I have actually really super fine hair and I don't really have a lot of it, but because I have curls, it makes me look like I have way more hair than I actually have. That's kind of the beauty of my hair. I'm so glad that that's the case. I have one more. Okay, G, I got your message, no worries. So that I'm so lucky that I have curls, because without them, I would have really lifeless and really thin and fine hair that I think would be really hard to style, and all of that good stuff. So then some of you, like Gigi, I know you have the really corkscrew thick curls that are like way tighter than me. And then Meg, I know for you personally, you and Christine actually have a similar curl pattern. Sometimes it's more wavy, sometimes you get the ringlets. It kind of is just like depends on the day. And then Tina, I know you have pretty thick hair and a decent amount of it as well. So using the right product for you is what's going to be really important. So for me, I have been using, and Christine, you messaged me this, and Megan, you and I have had conversations about this as well. I, for years, was using Diva Curl products. I love them. I think they're amazing. I've been using them since like 2007 when I kind of switched over to the Curly Girl method and the Diva Curl haircut. I've been getting the Diva Curl haircut forever. So I've been using those products, and then everything with the mass class action suit kind of came out, with some of the people claiming that they've been losing their hair from Diva, that they've been finding that they have some scalp abrasions, etc. So I decided to stop using Diva. I was getting a little dry patch in the back of my head that was becoming a bit irritating and itchy right on my scalp, kind of at the nape of my neck. And I was noticing it and just thought that it was either psoriasis or stress related. It's still not confirmed whether or not it is from the Diva Curl. I wasn't losing large amounts of hair or anything like that. I'm not sure if any of you guys had experienced that at all. And feel free to unmute yourself if you have.
Bryn.
I can't. Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry, someone else on mute.
Go ahead,
I was just gonna say that I was just looking at this today because a lot of the like curly enthusiasts that I follow, like they were so obsessed with the product, and I just kind of was like mimicking their products, like based off of finding people who had similar hair types than me. And I just saw today this girl who has like my type of hair, but it's so long and thick. She just had to like cut off so many inches of her hair, and she like had this whole like long complaint about Diva Curl, and I was like, oh god. But I definitely did have like some like, I don't know, like if I would say like crazy hair loss, like because it wasn't so drastic at first, but like I think my hair in the back started thinning out like towards like the nape of my neck so much, and then like I didn't really realize why that was happening, and I didn't think it was the Diva Curl, but it possibly could have been.
I had a similar experience. And then how about you, Tina? Thank you, Gigi. And how about you, Tina?
Mine was not a hair loss thing, but it was, I remember the first time it was used was at the salon, and it made my hair immediately like a rat's nest. Couldn't get my fingers through. It was just unbelievable what happened to it immediately there. So that was my first and only experience with it, and then I never used it again.
Interesting. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay. Yeah, so I think it goes along, and then I've talked to people that still love it, still use it. They changed their formula when they got bought out. So when Lorraine ended up doing her Curly World, ended up selling the Diva Curl company, they did a little bit of reformulation. That's when I was starting to kind of have some of that itching and kind of build up on my scalp a little bit. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stop. You know, maybe it's time for me to use a new product, but just like anything else, I think, just because there aren't proven data sets yet of this, I don't want to necessarily be like Diva Curl's wrong and this is right. I think it's just like anything else, like your body is going to react to it the way that your body is going to react to it. And it's either the product for you or not the product for you. So that's kind of what I have been kind of thinking about. And then when I re-research things to use, and I wanted something that was really similar but still really good for curly hair, I've been using the Ouidad Vital Curl, and this one I've been finding to be their whole Vital line to be pretty good for my hair. I've really liked it so far. I started using this probably in January, so a couple months now, and I'm really liking the way it makes my hair feel. I'm really liking the way that I'm getting pretty good curl definition as well. This, I'll talk more about how I like styled this today, etc., when we go down to that part. But I really do like my results, and I find actually that my day 2 and 3 and 4 hair is even better than my day 1 hair, which is really nice for me. I don't like washing it a lot. When you're a curly girl, you don't have to wash your hair every day. You shouldn't be washing your hair every day. It's interrupting your curl pattern, and our hair's already naturally pretty dry. So by continuing to shampoo and shampoo and shampoo, we're not really doing ourselves any service. And those natural oils from our scalp are going to contribute to some of that moisture that we really need in our hair. So I've been using, I don't use a ton of products, and that's another thing for me. I feel like the less that I can put in my hair because of my hair type, the less weighed down it is. So I try to really limit it to like my favorite, 3 products, 4 products max. I know a lot of people, they really need the extra products because their hair is either so dry or really has a hard time getting tamed with their frizz and all of that. But I find in my personal experience that the minimum amount of products is really best for me. So I have, let's see, I start with it's called Clear and Gentle shampoo. So I really like that, and you don't need a ton of it. This would probably be good from who I'm looking at right now for Meg, Christine, maybe Tina. I think someone's trying to get in here. Hold on. Yeah. Rhonda's coming in, so I'm gonna just let her in. Hi, Rhonda. I'll just let her start to connect. So I feel like for you guys, that'd be really a good move. As far as like Tina and Gigi, they have an even more moisturizing version. I have to look up exactly what the product is, their whole product line, but it's a little bit more moisturizing, which you guys might need for your curl and hair type. And I'll look that up and send that to you later. But I really have been loving the Ouidad. If you guys haven't tried that yet, I'll open it up to you guys in a second to share what products that you've been using. And then I use their styling gel. Let me make sure, yeah, styling gel. And then if I want some extra volume, they have the soft defining mousse, and I use a little tiny bit of that. And every once in a while, when I want to be really, really big, especially if I'm like going out or I have an event or something where I want my hair to be like giant, I use their volumizing texture spray, which is really nice. And I actually do that, and I'll talk more about this in the styling section as well. I spray that when I'm like 85% dry, and then kind of diffuse it in and make it like really, really big. So it's really nice. So those are some of the products that I use. The key, I think, with everything, and when I've really realized that my hair could be so much curlier and a lot less weighed down and less like stringy, was going silicone free. I think it's really the best move for curly girls. The silicone in different products tends to create almost a cast over our hair where the water can no longer penetrate into it, and that's when we get really dry. We don't get that curl definition that we want. It also gets super heavy, so it's actually weighing down the curl, and that also contributes to it getting, you know, kind of like strung out, and it doesn't have the buoyancy anymore to stay up and bouncy like we like. Another key point in your wash day is your product application. So making sure that you're evenly distributing and kind of finger combing through when your hair is like soaking wet. And you want it to be soaking wet, so then all of those products are keeping in that moisture in your hair. And that's going to help fight frizz. That's going to help with your curl definition. It's also going to help with your volume. It's basically going to help with everything that most curly girls are concerned about. Another big point on wash day is, yes.
I'm sorry. When you said your hair should be soaking wet when you put in the products, so if you use one of the things, the turbans, should you not use it at all now, or just a tad bit?
That's a great question. So I kind of switch on and off what I do, and I'll kind of let everybody chime in a second to what has been working for them, because I'm always curious. So for example, today I did use my turban, but after I already put all my products in, then I wrapped it with my turban, let it set in the turban with my product in, let it dry about, I probably left it in my turban for like an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Took it out, let it air dry about 90% of the way, and then I hit it with my diffuser for the last, little bit that needed, and it gave me the diffuser is what gave me more of the definition, I would say.
Okay.
But we can go more into that in the styling portion as well. But that's a great question. Another thing that I think is super key as well is that finger combing action. So try not to use a brush on your hair. It really disrupts the curl pattern. Not great for a curly girl. If you need to, I do use a wet brush every once in a while if I have those knots at like the nape of my neck, if I'm wearing my hair up a lot, or in the summer if I'm going swimming or anything like that. That's when I will use more of like a wet brush, but only on wet hair, and only specifically that brush is what has worked for me. Another point with wash day. So I don't know if any of you guys saw, I posted on social media yesterday, but I had, my hair was day 9 curls, and they looked so good. So like, I don't know what I've been doing, because I have never been able to make it that far. Like, I can go day 9, but by day 9, my hair is literally like in a bun on the top of my head like this. It's not something that I would like go out in public and feel confident in myself. It's like, I'm getting by, I'm going to yoga, and I'm going to bed. But I, had like day 9 hair that I was like, wow, this looks really amazing. And I think what I've been trying to do that has really contributed to that is not using any product on my scalp, not letting anything touch my scalp, and being really cognizant of that, because that's when you kind of get that buildup. That's when it starts, you know, kind of clogging your pores a little bit. You get the buildup on the scalp. That's when it gets itchy, uncomfortable, mixes with sweat, and just doesn't feel or look great. And then you kind of have that like oily buildup piece on your hair. And the way that I don't get product on my scalp is when I have my fully wet hair. So I just shampooed, I conditioned, and what I do when I condition, I only put it on my ends. I don't put anything up here. And I'll just start to go like this in the shower to loosen all the hair from kind of sticking down, you know? And it kind of lifts. And then I'll flip my hair to the side, kind of like this woman in the image. And I'll rake through all the conditioner, but I won't allow any of it to touch my scalp. And then these front pieces, because these tend to get a little dry because we're touching them and we get them frizzy because they're in our face and all of that. I'll literally take a pretty good amount of the conditioner and I'll just kind of rake it through this way, almost like I'm like climbing a rope or something, and like just working it through there, but being really cognizant as to not get it on my scalp at all. This also helps with the volume because I'm not weighing down that top portion of my hair. It's light and I get a lot of lift in here. So with that, I wanted to open it up to you guys. If you have any questions, we'll try to focus on wash day just to like keep everything as organized as possible. But if you guys have any tips or anything, feel free to unmute yourself and share.
I have a question again.
Yeah, no problem.
When you do your 9 days of not washing, or however many days you go, do you not do anything to it every day, or do you get in the shower and condition it every day?
So I actually don't do anything except for refresh, and I'll go into that when I get to like the styling section. I have a couple ways that work for me for refreshing my hair in between washes, but I'm not re-wetting almost like a whole shower. I'm doing only body showers and allowing my hair to get wet a little bit because that moisture again helps rebuild those curls. But I'm not like reconditioning. I'm literally, and this has taken me a long time, granted. Like it wasn't like I woke up yesterday and I was like, I'm gonna do 9 days. It's been a slow process over time. I probably started with, 2 days for a couple weeks. That was years ago. Then it was 3 days, 4 days, and slowly worked my way. And some people, they can only do 4 days and that's their limit. They're like, I can't do it anymore. That's fine. And there's some weeks, if I'm living a more active lifestyle and there's some weeks that I'm going to the gym way more, it gets shrunk. But I think really when I was living abroad in Thailand, we didn't really have a lot of time to wash and like primp and everything. So I was so used to just throwing my hair up, and that whole chunk of time got my hair really used to really minimal maintenance.
Yeah, I don't wash as much as I used to, but I do find because my hair is so thick and tends to be frizzy, that I do have to, when I shower every day, I wet it but I just can put the conditioner in it.
Okay.
And I find that toward the end of that cycle, as I approach the time that I have to wash again, the curls are better the longer I go without washing it. Yeah,
definitely. I'm glad you said that too. And I think too, when we go into sleeping strategies too, I think the sleeping strategy is what also elongates the days that it looks really good. Because another client just gave me a tip. We were on the phone connecting she was calling about, rescheduling and all of that. And she's like, oh, by the way, I wanted to share with you this tip. And I'll get into that because I think that that's been a really big game changer for my hair as well. Does anyone want to share anything with what works for them on their wash days or anything in particular?
I actually have a question, Bryn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, somehow I lost the sharing screen, so I did something wrong, but you can see me, I suppose.
I can.
Chemicals, in that product you were sharing, is it, how do you pronounce it? I'm sorry, I forget. Weedad or something?
Weedad, yeah.
Weedad, okay. Is it more of a natural type of product? I mean, I'm getting a little fussy with some chemicals that are in things and whatnot.
Totally. So it's not the cleanest, I will be honest. Definitely not the cleanest. If you're
Okay.
looking for, so my unique situation, I'm actually more sensitive to the cleaner products due to like floral fragrance in them, and some of the more like, I don't know what it is about them, but the more organic and clean they are on paper, the
Okay.
more I get a rash and I break out.
Yeah, well, actually, it's usually the fragrances that are problems. When
Yeah.
things say fragrance included, they don't normally tell you what it is. That's usually something that my antennae go up and it's like, okay, why didn't they say what the fragrance was and what is the fragrance? So
Sure.
that would be one thing. But also, when you say silicone free,
Yes.
do most products have silicone?
Most do, and a lot of them will still have basically a different name for a silicone. So just because it's a silicone doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Just like when a paraben is in something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. The silicone is more of like the slip that you're getting in a lot of your products, and it's what it does help with shine and produce like a beautiful result in most cases. So even in some of these products, it really may be, and my mom's best friend, Ray, is like a curly expert. She's like, and so into like the clean ingredients of everything. And she would be able to even look through all of these ingredients and still be like, okay, this, and this is still not great.
Okay.
So with a lot of products, unfortunately, in order for them to have a shelf life and all of those things,
They have to have some of that chemical stuff.
They do have some of that chemical stuff. But if you're looking for something super clean, I loved the way my hair looked with it, but I just get like these little rashes. Inner Sense, if you ever heard of Inner Sense.
No, I haven't.
INNER Sense. It's a line that a lot of curly girls also swear by. I just wasn't able to use it. It gave me like a, little like itchy rash around the nape of my neck, but I'm sensitive to a lot of products.
Okay. I actually have sensitive skin too, so I don't know. I don't know what would work. I mean, I'm just asking. Diva product actually never bothered me.
Me neither.
Which is kind of a shame because I don't want to use something that is supposedly hazardous, but I don't know what it is because I never had any problem with it. And I still have it on my shelf. And I'm one of these people that if I have all these products, it's hard for me to throw everything in the trash. It's like, really? Seriously?
Totally.
So I'm still using some of the products. I use the Believe in Curl. I still put that in.
Yep. I haven't been able to find a comparable product to the Believe in, honestly. It's like one that can't be beat for me. I love that product. And with my whole thing with you too, like I kind of said at the beginning, if you're finding that it's still working for you and you're not having those issues, it may be that your body doesn't react in that way and it might not be harmful for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's totally a personal preference and what you're willing to kind of work with or compromise on. But it's like, I mean, there's certain foods that are really good for people, like tomatoes for some people are like medicine, tomatoes for it makes their body react in a really poor way. So I think it's really about deciding what's best for you.
Right.
And really paying attention. You know what I mean? Like when I heard about that, I was like, oh, I've had this patch on the nape of my neck. That may be what it's about. If I didn't have that, I'd still be rocking Diva every day. I love it. I think it's amazing. So
Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else on this? Okay, great. Drying and styling. So Tina, you had asked about turban versus microfiber towel versus t-shirt. So we all hear these, you know, all these different ways that we can style our hair. And for me, it's like a yes and. So some days for me, like this sounds so silly, but I'm like, it's intuitive. But like some days I'm like, all right, my microfiber towel's hanging up here. I'm gonna do this. Today I used a turban, like I had said, and I did all of my product and I get it all in there when it's all wet, flip my hair over, put my turban on, and then I'll have my coffee. I chatted with a girlfriend about our book that we're reading. Like I do other things. If I'm getting ready to go out to a function, that's when I'll like kind of half get dressed or pick out my outfit, you know what I mean? Keep that on, it probably gets about 50 to 60% of the water out of it. I personally think for me, I don't usually go for the t-shirt. I don't know if anybody else does. It just doesn't, it just feels weird for me. I feel like I have this like sopping wet thing on my head and then it never really helps with the drying process. I much rather use a microfiber towel and wrap it, or a turban and wrap it. With the microfiber towel, I have noticed I get better curl definition, but I don't always get the best volume. Not sure why that is. Don't know what the science is with that, and that's my own personal experience. But that's why I encourage people to like try different methods multiple times and try to notice a pattern. And then for you, you know, like if I'm in the mood where I'm like, I don't really care how high my hair is, I just want it to be really ringlety, I'll go with one way. And if I know I'm like going out, I want to have a good time and I want my hair to be big and fun and bold because I just am feeling it, or I have a gig and I just want to look really good, I'll go for more volume. And it's like you just decide. And that's what's cool about having curly hair, I think, is that it looks different all the time and that we don't have to have it look like perfect or one way all the time. And I think for so many curly girls, at least that I know, it like is really reflective of our personalities too, which is so fun. I mean, having this type of hair that you don't really know what it's gonna do every day, and it kind of just looks different every single day. To some people, I'm sure it's really frustrating, especially if you don't have a great relationship with your hair for whatever reason. But I think that it's exciting, and I think that it's fun, and I think that it's just a cool way to express, you know, however you're feeling or how you want to look. So as far as like turban versus microfiber versus t-shirt, it really doesn't matter. It all is what works best for you, I think. And for me right now, my main modem is probably the microfiber towel, but I wrap it like a turban. A lot of the time I'll wear the turban just because I'm lazy and I don't want to sit there and keep scrunching my hair. It's more out of a time thing for me. Does anyone have any questions about that in particular, the turban piece? Okay, great. Air drying versus diffusing. So this is also a huge one. So I brought down my blow dryer and diffuser. I actually have the Diva diffuser. Does anyone else have this? Okay, so it looks like a hand, like literally looks like a hand. I really like this diffuser. So when I'm diffusing my hair, sometimes I'll do it from when it's completely wet and diffuse it to completely dry. That's when I'm gonna get the most volume and the most definition combined for me. And it also takes more time. So I'm like putting in the effort if I'm doing that. The majority of my time is what I had described today, where I do turban, kind of let it dry about 60%, then I'll put it down. I'll get into, I have clips on here. I'll get into what the clipping looks like. So I do this little clipping method, let it dry about like 85% dry, and then I'll take my diffuser, unclip my clips, and literally hold it. And what's so great about this diffuser is it can get right into your scalp without that big clunky thing that you see on the screen. Like you can't really get in there. It kind of stops. This, I can get right up to my scalp, and that's where I find helps the most with my volume. Volume, especially for me, is my biggest challenge because I have such little hair. So your method of drying is going to be dependent on what your main areas of, like what your problem areas are. So for me, mine is my volume, and this really, really helps. And I'll literally just go section by section. And a fun tip with diffusing, if you want more volume, you want to move it around more and really work it in. And then I'll literally tip my head down, get it that way, and you're really like constantly moving if volume is your biggest priority. And then if definition is more your priority, so you really want all of your hair just to kind of look like a perfect ringlet like that, you're actually taking it and you're holding for a while and you're letting all of them set in. So that's why it's kind of hard to get both all the time, because the techniques to get definition vastly differ from the techniques to get volume, and one usually cancels out the other. So on a really good day when you have definition and volume, it's just really a gift from the hair gods, is I think all I can say about that. Does that make sense with the diffuser? And you can use whatever diffuser you have. I personally just like the Diva because I can get into without even touching, because a lot of the times my ends are already dry. I don't want to keep hitting them with heat and causing heat damage to my hair if I don't have to. These are also, my ends are where I'm the most blonde and processed. So this is where it's been constantly highlighted and highlighted and highlighted. So these are already more my delicate pieces of hair and my oldest pieces of hair. So I want to try to protect them from the heat as much as I can and really only focus on the areas that I need to dry. And this diffuser helps me do that because I can put it right up to my scalp. Does that make sense? Cool. Then I wanted to show you guys, so when I say my clipping method, these babies have changed the game. Meg, I've been in one of your yoga classes where I literally have my clips in because I'm drying. Do any of you guys have these little clips by chance? Okay, cool. So what I do, and these come in handy for a lot of different things, when I'm styling my hair, I'm gonna come up closer so I can actually see myself. So if I have my hair, I just took it out of my turban, it's just kind of hanging out, I will start to take little sections. And I did not do this today, excuse me, to show you guys what my hair looks like without the clips. When I style it next time with clips, excuse me, I'm so burpy, excuse me. When I style it next time with clips, I'll send you guys a photo so you can kind of see the difference, because there's always a huge difference for me. So you can kind of see my hair kind of is sitting flat right now. There's not a ton of volume at my root, but then all of a sudden it's kind of going out this way. It looks fine, it looks good. It's not my favorite, but I can live with that. But with these clips, when your hair is wet, I love to take my front piece and you place the clips close to the root while it's wet where you want to see your volume. So all my volume that I want is at my crown. So can you kind of see that? How I'm clipping and I'm keeping it. It's hard to do in the camera. I gotta give these Instagram influencers more credit for doing what I think is nothing, but it's clearly something. Here we go. So you're literally just taking where on your hair that you want to see the most volume. So then when I'm drying, so I took off my turban, I'm 60% dry. Now I'm air drying from the 60 to 85%. That's kind of where we are. these clips go in. So my hair is going to dry like this. And it's almost like a little cast that's just helping put the hair where you want it to go. And it's such a simple step. I don't have all my clips down here. I have about like 14 that I usually place in my hair. And then I'll do one right here too, to keep it off my head, so that when it dries, these pieces lay on what's out, and it's giving me more volume because it's not smushed. So you kind of just start to play with, if my root is lifted and all my hair starts out further, it's going to give the illusion of more volume anyway. Does that kind of make sense? So you can kind of play with your placement of these clips. And these are something that, Tina, to your point of, you know, when you asked me over the 9 days, am I like re-wetting and restyling? I'll re-clip my hair multiple times a week and like hit it with a spray bottle to kind of reset it to where I want it to go. And it's right now, like for me, when I used to hear this, I'd be like, oh, I'm not resetting it, I'm just going to wash it again. But this has taken so much less time for me now than like redoing the whole shower thing, redistributing all the product, especially if I already love what's going on down here. And it's more just like I'm having issues up here. Because when I take these out, what's great, and you want to take them out as carefully as possible without pulling anything. That's kind of the hard part. What's great about that is you can, every single day when you wake up, if you find that you have a new part, welcome the new part, because it's going to give you a whole different look and a whole different pattern, instead of you going back in the shower, making sure you evenly distribute all the product again, go through the diffusing process. Like, it saves you hours and hours of time and so much damage and heat damage to your hair. That say you wake up, I could wear my hair tomorrow like this, pin these pieces up, spray, or Christine, I know you were saying you were looking for like new looks and new ways to wear your hair now that it's longer. Taking sections after it's redistributed, twisting, and you can pin it back. And then it's completely different, but your curls just keep sitting in a different way. And I've learned now to kind of go with the flow where my curls are going and how I'm going to wear my hair, if that makes sense too. So if like my hair keeps going to this side, but I want it on this side, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to surrender. I'm going to let the hair go to that side, and I'm going to wear it like this today, or I'll pin all of it back and just leave this one curl, and then loosely put a pin here. And then you have a whole new look. And then you just kind of reshake it and see where it falls, because it's always going to fall differently. Does that make sense too? Is that helpful?
I just have to tell you that it's absolutely a fabulous idea.
Cool. Good.
I'll tell you what I did actually, even just today, I did wash my hair, and it's so like, I don't know what to do with it because it's so long. And when my hair gets long, because I have so much, it's so heavy.
Yeah.
That my problem is not having enough volume. It's getting the lift because my hair is so heavy, right? But what I have done is that little bit of a tip where you do take a piece of hair, but I don't just put a clip.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have the kind of curly hair you have. I have curl, but I'm not really like you. What I will do is I'll twist it. Can you see me?
Yes.
Because I can't. Okay, because this is crazy. I moved my mouse and I can only see your face.
Oh, good.
So I will twist like this to make a bit of a curl, and then put the clip right at the base.
Nice.
So what will happen is then after I dry my hair, I have that little bit of lift here.
Yep.
And then it does give me a little volume, of which I'm desperately needing right now because it's just so heavy. But I love this idea of not having, because I always think, oh, I have to wash my hair because my hair is looking terrible. But I never thought of that. Redo, are you saying you just redo with the clip?
I redo with the clip.
Do you spray your hair wet to do that?
It depends. So sometimes I'll take like a spray bottle and spritz it. A lot of the time, I literally will just flip my head upside down. Can you see me? Because okay. Flip my head upside down, go through like this, do the pads of my fingers to kind of like loosen stuff up, and then it'll just kind of like re-fall. And then from there, I can kind of be like, okay, well, this still wants to go here, so I'll push it this way. This guy's kind of confused. I'll push him this way. This guy could go either way. I'll push him here. And then, and that wasn't as effective because I just washed my hair. But by day 4, it's not as dedicated to its original spot anymore. So then from there, I can clip, spray. I like the clip and then spray at that point because your hair is already dry. It's like easier to pick up for me. But you can figure out what way works best for you. It might work better to spray and then clip. But you can totally do that instead of going through the whole process of a wash.
It's a great idea. Really great idea.
Good. I'm glad. Try it and then let me know.
I will.
Cool. With the drying and styling too. So, I showed you guys this volume spray. I just started using like a volume spray because I really started to welcome in just bigger hair. I just feel more fun when I have it. Like I just feel confident and good. So I'm like, I want more of that. So I just started using this like very recently, and I will spray it on my hair when it's 85% dry before I diffuse. And I found that that's been good as well because it gives your hair a little bit of that grit as well. I don't love day 1 hair because when it's too clean, it just doesn't, like this is behaving pretty well today and looks pretty good, I think, because Hair Gods knew I was on with you guys on a curl chat and I couldn't be like looking all not cute. So I think that gave me some extra love because I didn't use that today at all because I just wanted to show what it would look like before. But giving your hair a little bit of that grit so it almost feels like a day 2 hair where you get more of the texture that allows for the volume that you really want. So again, when I restyle, I'll email you guys what it looks like with a different technique. So then you can kind of see like, oh, if that kind of worked for her, maybe this will work for me type thing, all of that, but also show like it just depends on the day. And that's like the beauty of it as well. Same goes for hairspray. So if you're a frizzy girl, you're prone to frizz, spraying your hairspray while it's a little bit wet and then diffusing helps control some of that frizz as well. You just want to use like a light hairspray. So the Be Confident spray that we always have here in the pink bottle that you probably have seen a million times, that one is really good. It's not super firm hold. It doesn't give that cast, but it keeps in the frizz, and it's an oldie but goodie, and that's why we always have it in stock here because we've carried it for years now, and it's just like a solid, and I use that as well. I intermix the hairspray and the volume spray. Okay, if anyone wants to share anything that works for them as far as styling, Christine, you already shared kind of your clipping thing. If there was any questions too, this is the time.
I'll share something.
Hi, Rhonda.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? I'm glad you hopped on.
Thank you. I use the Kenra, the number 5.
Okay.
And if I try not to, I wash my hair maybe twice a week, and in between, sometimes I'll wake up and I'll see that my hair, like on the top, it's not cooperating. So I'll use a little bit of the Kenra 5, and then I'll wet my hand and I'll scrunch my hair with it, and that seems to reshape it.
Nice.
It doesn't always work, but it works a good amount of time. So you know how it is with curly hair.
Exactly.
It has a mind of its own.
Exactly. That's part of the fun of it. Totally. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I find that also works for me, wetting a little bit and then reusing one of my products. I try to do that further down the line on my day, like 4 maybe for me, just so I'm not piling on product after product after product for that whole duration. But that's also because I like to stretch mine further than most people like to stretch theirs, which is okay. But thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay, great. This piece was the game changer for me. Game changing, and it only became game changing like 2 weeks ago for me, when I had this conversation with another client when we were on the phone. So the biggest one is definitely satin or silk pillowcase. The satin pillowcase is also really good for your skin. It helps keep a lot of the moisture in your hair. So like a cotton pillowcase or any other fabric, it's going to suck the moisture out. It's just the nature of that fabric. And how it shows up in nature. Satin does not do that. It's silky. So when you're sleeping on it and you're moving in your sleep, it's not as rough. You're not causing as much friction because you're just gliding over it with your hair. Some people like satin bonnets. I personally don't love to sleep in a bonnet. I think it actually weighs my hair down and kind of presses it. I think for certain hair types, it definitely is helpful. If you have like really thick, coarse, and a lot of hair, I think it can definitely be helpful. Some people also sleep with, I've tried to do the like satin bandana tying, kind of like the old school where they used to do like the curler sets and then set their hair with a little satin bow. That to me always falls off in the middle of the night. I guess I'm like a crazy sleeper. So that doesn't work for me, but it might work for you, and wanted to share that just in case it does. But for me, the satin pillowcase has really worked. We do actually have some at the salon. So if you wanted to grab one from us, I think I have like 2 left in white and 2 left in gold. But I use one of the ones that you ordered from this company. Really great. And it's definitely changed the game for me. The other thing that has changed the game for me is using my clips to sleep at night. So what I used to do to sleep was I used to do the pineapple, and I'm not sure if anyone else does or has done the pineapple before, but it's basically like you make yourself a little unicorn and you tie your hair up and you just kind of let this all hang out. So for me, I'll actually show you that again to give you more of a visual. For me, all of this in the back got really stretched out trying to fit to the front. So in the morning, I would drop it and all my front pieces would look great, but then my back would be straight because it was stretching all night long to get to here. So then I was like, okay, maybe for me, it'll be better to do pigtails. So then I started doing pigtails like this on top of my head. Thank God I live alone because I look a fool. But there can be no shame in your game. So I would do it like this and get this front piece in, and then I would have 2. And then I found I was still getting the same problem because it was still stretching out the back of my head. So I'm like, okay, well then do I just sleep with it down? So I tried sleeping with it down for a while. It was fine, but I would lose all my curl definition and most of my volume from being like smushed all night. And like I said, I'm a crazy sleeper. So I just felt like I was waking up and I could only really go maybe 2 or 3 days. And then I would just have to throw my hair up in a bun because it would be unsavable. So now that I have this like little trick that one of my clients had said, I use these clips and I'll literally take mini sections of my hair before I go to bed, like this, and I'll kind of twist, take it, pin it down all forward, and I'll just take tiny sections of my hair. That way, none of them are stretching too far away. And then I make sure I clip it on top of my head so that when I'm laying down, I don't have a clip digging into my head. So I have everything up here because I'm not going to sleep on top of my head. I'm not that crazy of a sleeper. And as you can see, I'm keeping it pretty loose Like this is pretty, I'm not pulling it. So I'm still keeping this volume here. So when I unclip these in the morning, I'm still gonna have this volume. I didn't pull it so tightly to my scalp. Do you kind of see where that's kind of sticking out? Okay. So, and this piece, I'll just kind of like take here and use this clip, but you kind of get the idea. And I'll do this to my whole head until everything is just clipped on the top of my head. And then I have this little ball of curls at the top of my head. And then I don't have any right now, but I'll take this, break this into 2 sections, twist, clip. Take this, twist, clip. So nothing's getting pulled. It's almost like I look like a greaser or something with like a tuck here, and then I'll pin it, and then I literally go to bed like this. So when I'm sleeping, all my curls are up here. All the curls in the back, nothing's pulled, it's just clipped. And then I keep all my volume like this. So in the morning, I can literally just pull these guys out. I do a little shake. And I actually end up getting more volume because my hair was clipped up all night. So it actually takes like several minutes after you've been asleep all night. Somebody's calling here. Because, you know, you're in there for 8 hours, whatever. So all my hair, when I do drop it in the morning, it's kind of stuck out like this. But then as the morning goes on, it falls, but then it's giving me the natural. You can even see on this side a little bit. It's already higher just from, it was in there for 2 minutes. So sleeping with it all night, you're almost like setting your hair to have this top volume. So Christine, for you, even just clipping that top section at night might give you the lift that you need for the morning. And then when you're unclipping it, you kind of let it settle. I try really hard not to touch it because I find that it falls actually exactly where I want it to fall. Was that helpful at all?
What kind of clips are those, Brent? I couldn't really see. Are they like big barrettes?
So they're
Not just a normal clip?
they're like perm clips. So
Is
they're
it the
really
same kind of clip that we were talking about when you're
yeah,
watching? Same thing.
same thing. So I
Are
use them to
they,
set my hair and I use them to sleep in.
I think they would all fall out of my head during the night.
You think so, but you just get it in there. They don't move because, like I said,
Really?
I'm a pretty active sleeper. Like I'm a toss and turner. Like I never have a problem. You might, like, depending on your hair thickness, you might just need more of them. But I can go to bed most nights with only 5.
And it doesn't bother you having those things stuck in your head?
No.
I mean, I have not set my head with rollers or anything like that in so many years. I don't know. I don't know what that would feel like all night long to have clips in my head.
Well, you don't want to like put it too far on your scalp. Like right here, it's only really in here, but it's very secure.
Okay.
And play with it. Like, you know what I mean? Play with it, or maybe just like put it on midday and lay down with it and see if you feel them. But I thought that they were really going to bother me, and they didn't. The one night I misplaced one a little too low, and when I was laying on my side, it got a little like nudgy in here. But as long as I focus on my mohawk area, it really has like changed the game of my hair and like allowing my hair to have such long, like my friends have heard about it. I'm like, guys, I found a new way to sleep. It's amazing. None of you have curly hair. You don't care, but I care. So
that's a great idea.
Yeah. So that was one of our clients here, and that really helped me. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you guys. Does anyone have any like sleeping tricks that usually work for them?
No, I've never even considered this. Like all these tips are so new to me, so this is super helpful. And the clips, can I get them at like CVS or do you recommend somewhere, or do you sell them?
I don't have them right now, and we usually don't sell them. Megan, I can also see if I have like extra for you to try laying around here because you're so local. but I don't know if you can get them at CVS, honestly.
Yeah.
I've always only ordered them from the beauty supply. So,
Okay.
I mean, right now it's hard to get supplies right now. So
Yeah.
I would say that I would order them for you. But in the future, I want to carry more of them at the salon.
Yeah.
But I might have some of these, but
Okay.
look at CVS when you go and see.
Okay.
But I'll send you guys a picture of them
Cool.
too. But they're just like the little baby perm clips. Yeah.
Yeah, I could ask my aunt's
Yeah.
um
See if she.
hairdresser, so I could ask her too. She's right in Chestnut Hill.
Cool. Perfect.
Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else? Okay, great. So we kind of talked about the refresh part as well, of like the refreshing the dew. So a lot for me is the shower humidity. If I'm doing a body shower, really helps to reignite the curls that I'm not doing a whole new wash day. We talked about the spray bottle, kind of hitting it. Rhonda also shared with redistributing some product and just spot treating different spots that are falling. That's great instead of redoing your whole hair. Christine kind of touched on this finger coiling. She described it a little bit differently, but what's been really good for me is if I have a piece, and especially in the front, because these are the pieces that I'm usually playing with, or I'm on the computer, so I'm tucking my hair behind my ears, and these are the places that usually tend to get flat first for me. I'm sure you guys have your own places, but with the finger coiling, if you take your one curl that's just really needs that extra bit of love, and you wet your fingers, so this is a little wet right now, and you wet them, and you almost make your own little curl. I looped it around my finger, and this is the hard part because you want to make it loose, but it's flat, curled. That's when I take my clip again. These clips everybody needs these clips. I think that's what we discovered during this call. And you just clip it down. Oop, I lost the one guy. It's so much harder not in the mirror. And that will set that way because you refreshed it with water. And then, you can hit it with the diffuser if you're in a rush. You can just let it sit if you're not. And then when you're done, take it out, it'll spring, and then it'll give you that corkscrew-like curl after you take it out. So that's another great way to just do those spot curls, the curls that just need a little bit extra love. And then I also talked about that parting differently. So most days is just that little zhuzh for me of like, I'm gonna move my scalp around, and I'm just gonna move some curls around, and I'll shake my hair out, and then wherever I want to see them fall, let them fall, redistribute, and then I'll take little sections and clip them away, like I had shown you guys before. So very little refresh tips. Any refresh tips from you guys? Anything that has worked in the past?
What are your feelings about like a product? I've used this gel, it's called American Crew. And when I want to have like a fix me up or a pick me up,
Yeah.
I feel like you like the big hairstyle, and I do too if I'm getting dressed up and I just want to have that sort of out there look.
Yeah.
And when I put that gel in my hand and I just kind of get it and I redistribute, oh, I knocked my glasses off. And I had one too many margaritas today. And you go like this.
Yes.
And then I spray.
Yes.
That kind of helps me.
Yes.
Of course, I still have to use the hairspray, and I find that because my hair is so heavy right now, I am desperate with hairspray. I think it was Rhonda who said the hairspray and, just styling. I mean, it's just, I'm desperate right now to do this because my hair is just so big.
Totally.
And heavy.
Totally.
So I'm going to be clipping my brains out with this styling tip.
It's good though. It's good because you might find that you like love your new style. Another one that I'm constantly doing, and sometimes I don't even realize that I'm doing, it's like such a habit of mine, is I'm constantly going like this because I want my volume, and like redistributing all my hair under here. And I always feel like I'm zhuzhing and doing this, but I just like look at that. Like, this is what I always want it to look like. And then all of a sudden it's just like, meh, 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 meh. But we're getting there. So yeah, like even just playing with it, not too much because fingers equal frizz. I welcome the frizz a lot of the time because it does help with my volume, but that's my hair goal. So I also understand and get that some people have very frizzy hair and they're trying to get rid of the frizz and they don't want to welcome it. So if you're not welcoming it, Tina's nodding, don't touch a lot, not a lot of fingers. Me, I'm welcoming it. Fingers equal frizz. I'm cool with it if it appears. So that's another tip for you too. If you're trying to minimize that, try not to touch your hair a lot if you're not welcoming in that frizz.
Right. Bryn, I'm noticing that it seems like all you guys need to volumize your hair. I need.
And isn't it funny? It's
I can't touch it a lot. I find even if I try to do the coils when it's wet with the product, if I do that too much, I have too much frizz then.
Yeah, for sure. So
I used to use a diffuser. I don't ever use a diffuser because it makes it more frizzy and more volume also.
Have you tried the diffuser? I didn't really get into the different temperatures of the diffuser. Have you tried the diffuser with a cool setting?
Yeah. Yep.
And it still is.
It helped, but not in. It's still my hair just gets too frizzy and too bushy.
Yeah. And it's so funny because it's one of those things too of like, you want what you can't have type thing.
Yeah.
So that's also totally.
I did iron my hair my whole life.
Exactly.
I gave up and said I can't do all that stuff.
Exactly. And you have beautiful curls. So yeah, I think your key, Tina, is always going to be moisture, moisture, moisture. And that might mean for you just more hair masks, maybe more wash days with conditioning, that what you're already doing. So what I do with going the 9 days probably won't work for you because you have more of that frizzy texture naturally. So I
find that I have to wet it with the conditioner every day.
Yep.
Or it just will be too bushy.
Yeah, exactly. So
and you know, my curls too are frizzier, skinnier.
Because they're not as hydrated, so they're not like plump.
Right.
It's like they're filling with water, so they're getting that expansion. So when they're not, that's when they get thin and frizzy and dry and brittle. So it's all like a water intake too. And big tip that's not surprising and that everybody should be doing anyway, drinking a lot of water. Curly girls, it really does make a difference because that's what our bodies are made of and that's what they need. But for your hair, skin, nails, all of that good stuff. So the water intake, not just for your body, but also for your hair as well. Anybody else on anything in general? Okay, cool. So that was everything that I have. And my biggest thing, and I kind of talked about this already, embrace them. So just surrender that they're not going to look the same every day. You're not going to be able to control them, tame them, whatever. I think that is what is the most fun part about having curly hair. My hair is not always big and fancy like I want it to be. Some days it's just plain and that's fine. And some days Tina's hair is frizzy and puffy and that's fine. And just finding the different ways that work for you. And then also just knowing that like, it's not going to be the same every day. Even if you stick to the same measurements of your product. And I've seen people in forums like go that crazy where they're like, I take, a spoonful of this and I take that. And I'm like, it's hair, man. Like, it's all good, you know, and I say that as a salon owner, that it pays my bills. Like, it's hair, it's an expression of you. It's never going to be perfect. And I think that that's what's so cool about curly hair. So I'm glad that I got to share that with you guys. And if you guys have any other questions later on that like pop into your head that you're like, oh, I wish we would have talked about that, shoot me an email on the luxecolorlounge@gmail.com. I try and check that at least once a day. I will, when I'm doing my next styling, I'll send pictures to you guys because I have this in like a separate little email list or whatever of things, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about when I say different things. But I'm so glad that I got to connect with some people. I'm living alone during this, so like seeing faces and being able to talk to people, I think that was our biggest goal, at least my biggest goal in putting together these little girls' nights in through Luxe, was having people be able to connect with different people that they might not have seen ever before, but it's not like another Zoom happy hour with your work. Hopefully you also learned something. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you, Bryn.
Thank you.
thank you.
It was lovely.
Good.
Appreciate all your tips.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.